Hello guys, my name is Matt, and I want to show you what I've been working on recently. This is Urchin, a completely headless CMS, which allows you to add posts, pages, and cards to a website and deploy the application with very few dependencies. So what you can see right here is the homepage, and it just really shows all of the posts available in a database. We store each post as a markdown document in a database, a Maria SQL database, and Urchin does all the rendering to HTML for you automatically, as you can see right here. All you have to do to add a post is basically to just hit the admin endpoint with the post information that you want, such as title, content, excerpt, and the rest is done by the application itself. So I want to show you in this video how you can also achieve something like this with a very simple yet extremely powerful stack, which is Golang on the back end, and then we've got Templ, which is an extremely powerful HTML template generator for Golang. So you can do things like writing HTML and then putting Golang code inside your HTML in the same way as you would do with PHP. Gin as the HTTP framework, so the web server framework. And lastly, Air to kind of automatically reload all the changes that you make to it. Because I haven't shown you yet, but with Air, if you make any changes to your Golang code or simply your views, such as making changes to the template itself, Air will live reload your application for you so that you don't have to do any compilation or any manual work to see the new work that you've created. So we've added a new link, and we can see it right here by just reloading the page. So let's get started. The first thing you need to do is probably to install the dependencies for this tutorial, and there's only really two of them that you need to install right now. One of them is, as I said, Templ, which is the template generator, so the HTML template generator for Golang. And to install it is very, very easy. I'm going to leave a link in the description. All you have to do is just to go on the guide itself and then copy and paste the go install command here onto your platform. And this will make sure that Templ is installed in your Go path. In other words, for me, I think that's actually in Go. And if I look into bin here, you'll be able to see that I've got Templ installed after you run this command right here. Now, the second one that we're going to install here is Air. And as I said, Air is for the live reloading and is also, very, very easy to install it. All you have to do is to click in the link in the description of the video and then do a go install command that's right here on the GitHub page. You should have, after this, Air installed in your Go bin path. Okay, now one thing that you may have to do is to actually add this path into your path variable, or if you're on Windows, you're going to have to add this path into your environment variables here. And after all of this, you should be able to call both Templ and then Air through the terminal. Now, those are the system tools that you need to install. However, we also have a couple of dependencies on the Golang project itself. So let's take a look at what a Golang web application project may look like. So in my case here, I've got my entire Golang web application code in my cmd/app directory in app.go. Got the package main here and then the main function down here. Now, you can probably already tell that I am including two libraries, two external packages here, so two external modules in Golang. One of them is the Templ module itself, and the other one is the Gin module, so I can serve HTTP requests. Now, to add the Templ module dependency to your project is actually kind of easy. So instead of go install GitHub and ... what you're going to do is you're going to run a go get and then the package name itself, which is, in the case of Templ, github.com/a -h Templ cmd Templ latest here. And then the latest is simply just going to get the latest version available of the Templ module here. And once you execute this command, you should be able to now import your Templ module in your source code. And it's the same exact logic for the Gin framework here. They actually give you the command that you need to run. So go get -u, and you're simply just going to go into your root directory and then run that go get command, as you can see here. Now, of course, you don't have to use Gin. You can use any other web framework that you prefer. Gin is just the framework that I use for Urchin, so I want to kind of use the same one here. Now, let's talk a little bit about my main function so you can kind of understand what this is doing. So in here, I'm simply creating a Gin engine. So a Gin engine is the object that holds all the routes, all the context related to kind of like incoming requests. So the object that's handling incoming requests. So we create that and then we add a get endpoint handler, as you can see in these lines here. So in particular, whenever someone requests the /path, or in other words, when someone types your domain, we're going to use this function to handle the request. So in essence, we are simply showing the home page here with two example posts as you can probably tell here. But this obviously is not clear to you because it does depend on what Templ does. So let's talk a little bit about Templ and how it kind of works to generate the HTML content in Golang. So Templ is essentially just a compiler that compiles the .templ files into Golang files that exposes some functions that create some HTML for you. In essence, that's what it does. There's not much to it apart from that. So the .templ file is essentially just a Golang file where you can kind of define special functions such as this one here, Templ, and then make navbar, and then some HTML inside with optionally some Golang inside it as well. So what this does is whenever you call this function here from the Golang application or other Templ components, as we will talk about in a second, this will simply compile this HTML with the generated Golang that's inside it here as well. So for example, we're simply just going to return a string containing all the header, nav, unordered list elements here, and then a list element for however many links I've got in my link here. So you can actually see how powerful this is right now, right? So this is pretty much what PHP does. So you can create a HTML file and include code inside it. And that's why it's so much better than the Golang template library. Perhaps it's more interesting for us to actually look at the homepage, right? So the homepage is a little bit more involved. And I believe I actually used ChatGPT to generate me this whole HTML file here. So the difference between this one and the make navbar is that this function make home will actually return me the entire document for the index page. And not only that, it also calls the make navbar and the make footer functions inside itself to be able to kind of replace some of the components of my page into the HTML. And this is yet another reason why Templ is so good, because you can just turn your pages into components. So it's kind of the same logic here. This function should take an array of post, and post is what we defined up here. Every post has a title, a content, and an ID. So it takes each post in the post array here, or in the post slice, and then simply creates an article for each one of them. So this is the main bread and butter here. Of course, as we said, it also calls the navbar, which, creates a navbar with all of these links, as you can see here, and then the footer function, which is not really doing much at the moment, but it could be something that we do later on. So this is essentially how I generate all my views in Golang in a way that I can still pass information in from Golang itself, so to my views code, and then get a HTML catered for that situation, because I'm sending all the post information essentially from my Golang application. Now, once you have your Templ file that you want to create a Golang view out of it, so in other words, when you want to generate the actual Golang code that you can call and serve to your HTTP request, all you have to do is go to your terminal, find your root directory as we are here, and we're going to call in Templ generate, I believe it is, which will recursively look for all the .templ files and then generate in the same directory a templ.go file, as you can probably see here. So it's home_templ.go. So this is the naming convention for the file that it's going to generate. And of course, all of these things that you defined up here, such as the package name itself, the link structure, these will all be inside the Go file as well. And a bunch of gibberish, which is essentially, the function that you're going to be calling from Golang that will actually generate you what I said, that string, or render that string onto the request. It's not really worth trying to figure out what this is doing, because this is just a generated code, so it's very messy. But all you need to know is that the Templ application will simply generate this Go file, which contains the exact same functions we defined here that we can call from the Golang application. And this is exactly what we're doing on the main page. As you can probably tell here, you can see that I'm calling views make home, which is that generated function that we just talked about. And then I'm passing in an array of posts that I created inside my Golang application. So here's the slice that I'm creating, and I could quite easily just do like 10 posts here, or get it from a database, for example, which is, what Urchin is doing. But you can see how these things fit together. Now, one of the good things to mention is that if you're using Gin, there is no direct function you can call on your context here to basically serve a Templ component. So what you do need to do is you need to define this render function, as you can see up here, which will take in the Gin context and then the Templ component that you get returned from the make home function. And by the way, all of the Templ functions, they all return this type Templ component. And all you have to do with this is basically just call the template.render function with the HTTP context, and then pass in the IO writer from that context. So then Templ can go and basically write the HTML to the request. And this is how Templ returns that HTML document to the user that has made a HTTP request. So let's kind of manually try and build this and then make it easier later on, shall we? So as we said, the first thing you have to do is to do a Templ generate, which will take all the .templ files and create the equivalent _templ.go file. Okay, and the next thing you're going to do is to actually compile the application that we've just created with the go build command. So go build, and then you have to point it to the application itself, or the module. I'm going to point it to the app.go file, and then run the application. So it's just app that we've got, and we can see that the web server is running. So Gin is running as expected, and let's see what's going on here. And this is what we get served from that document. So it's a perfectly valid HTML file, as you can probably tell. It hasn't really beautified it because it served the, I guess, the minified version. So we essentially have a templated web application compiled with Golang and running just fine at the moment. Now let's make this a little bit more interesting and actually make it hot reload whenever we make a change, shall we? Now at the start of the video, I did ask you to install an application called Air, and Air essentially just hot reloads your application whenever you make a change to it. What I would recommend is to actually run Air with the .air.toml config file, as you can see here. So this is a file that Air actually reads in automatically if it's available on the current directory, and it takes information such as, what the command is to actually compile your application, as you can see here in the cmd command. It also takes in where the binary is located, as you can see here, and the full binary command, which is where you can define things like environment variables if you need them for your application, but we're not going to use that here. So in my case, I have already kind of defined this file, so you can see here that I put exactly the command I used to build my application here, and I put the binary path and then the full binary path as the same because we're not really doing anything fancy with this application. So once you have defined this file, all you have to do is just to call air here. And you can see that I've made a mistake myself here. So it's complaining about this. I think it should have been before the binary itself. So if I do O and then temp app. So this is just the output directory where I want to put my application. So let's try that again. Let's call in air again. And you can see that it has built. Yeah, it's built. And then it's running the application just as expected. And if we make any changes to the Go file itself, for example, if I add yet another article here, so say third article, and again, this could be something that's coming from your database or whatever. We can see that if we reload the page, the third article is here, and we haven't really touched any of the Golang build commands or anything like that. Air just does it automatically for you. It just hot reloads everything, as you can probably tell here. So you can see that it's build twice, one and then twice here. And, for the icing on the cake, you can even make it a little bit prettier by just slapping a CSS framework. That's kind of simple, like simple.css, which is what we use for Urchin. And then it will automatically reload everything for you, except it won't in this case because we made a change in the Templ file. So why did it not work? Well, because Air is not actually watching those Templ files for us. So this is something that you can customize in the Air toml file as well. So if you add the .templ here to the include the extension, so simple Templ right there. And not only that, this will build whenever you change the Templ file itself, but it's not actually doing a Templ generate. So what we can do in this case as well, we can actually call Templ generate here and then do the go build afterwards, right? So now if we load everything, let's simply remove whatever we had before. So let's just comment that out again. If we run air, you can see that it has actually generated the Templ files. Running the application, you still get the same layout. But now if we change the Templ file itself, the home.templ, we expect Air to build it again, which it has done. You can see here it's built twice. And then if we reload the application, we can see that it looks exactly like Urchin because this is what I am essentially doing in Urchin. Now, I really hope that this video has helped you guys and you can make applications just like the one that I'm currently writing, so Urchin here, with a very, very simple stack and not much knowledge about web frameworks because, let's be honest, I'm very bad at it. Yeah, I can still make something like this with those free Golang dependencies that we've showed in this video. And I do hope that you guys try it out. And if you have tried it out, let me know in the comments what you found of it, and if you had any challenges, if you have any questions, please feel free to comment and I'll make sure to get back to you as soon as I can. And of course, please don't forget to check out my Git repository, and if you have some time, please give it a star. I would appreciate it very much. And also, if you have enjoyed the video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.